Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you might be watching. So, this is Gia, and this is my Spirit Animal Oracle card series. So, today it's time for another animal for us to welcome and invite another animal spirit. We spent a week with Turtle Spirit, and in the middle of that journey, we invited Lion Spirit to join us. So I'll share my reflections on that in just a moment. But I'm so excited. I love these animals. So, the spirit animal that is wanting to be invited into our journeys right now is Horse Spirit. Horse Spirit. Oh, what a majestic beauty. So, Horse Spirit is reminding us that freedom is ours. Freedom is ours. And this feels very appropriate given that we are entering into the year of the horse, the year of the fire horse. So, freedom is ours. Just looking at my initial notes here. Um, Freedom from what we've been releasing over the past year through the year of the snake, shedding that old skin, shedding those outdated narratives for ourselves, those outdated frameworks for the lives that we used to live, where we've discerned what is no longer in alignment and recreating those new narratives for us, those new definitions. So that is the first impression that came through. And then freedom is yours. Um, Horses are so powerful, they have so much power. And so we're stepping into that into this year and reclaiming that power. Horse Spirit wants to um, run alongside with us and help us to reclaim that power. Reclaim that power. And this power is from the perspective of, again, everything keeps going back to that heart centered place, that grounded sense of power and purpose and intention. So it's not always just like go, 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 but it's power from that place of knowing when we need to, um, when we need to accelerate into a gallop, and when we need to slow it down to a trot, or when we need to simply rest in stillness. So there's power in that wisdom and awareness. So that's the power that horse is um, reminding us that we're reclaiming as we're stepping into this year of the fire horse. And again, to keep going, to, as we've been shedding the things we've been shedding, new layers of stuff surface, and sometimes it seems never ending, but, as we move through these human experiences, there are going to be layers of things that just surface for us to continue to be healing. Every day and every moment and everything and every experience is an opportunity for deeper understanding of ourselves, the world around us, how we engage and interact with it, and opportunities for healing. So, as these other deeper seated things that are ready to bubble up to be healed, as those things make their way to the surface for us to examine, Horse Spirit wants us to be steadfast in that intention of moving through the healing with them. Sometimes those deeper seated triggers and traumas are the ones that we've been kind of allowing ourselves to sometimes be distracted by the other things in our lives, right? You know, life gets in the way sometimes of life. Life gets in the way of life. I've used that phrase in a couple of different ways, um, just as a way to remind myself that, you know, our circumstances shift and change and we do need to pivot accordingly. However, I'm recognizing that sometimes subconsciously I think I use it as an excuse to avoid the things that I know um, are bubbling up for me to really work on in a more focused, intentional way. So, Horse Spirit is reminding us and encouraging us. Horse Spirit wants to walk and trot and gallop along with us on our journey to remind us that we are really grounded into our power, and we, through the power of our expanded inner innate wisdom that we are reclaiming, we have the capacity to go deep, and we can do it. And Horse Spirit wants to be alongside of us to help us remember that. So, and again the hi Amy, yes, Fire Horse year is here. So, um, this momentum that Horse Spirit wants to help us keep pace with, um, it doesn't have to be in a it doesn't mean in a stern way to be like hard on ourselves if we don't do a particular thing that we've set our intention to do, or if we have to shift or pivot. You know, it doesn't mean being stern, it doesn't mean being um, aggressive or hard on ourselves or things like that. um, it just means um, continuing the momentum with being intentional on our healing journeys. So, those things that we've been able to put in place to help us on our spiritual journey, Horse Spirit wants us to continue to do those things, and they would love to be invited to be one of those support tools right now um, on our healing journey. And they want us to remember to be gentle with ourselves, um, but also intentional with ourselves. And the posture of Horse Spirit here, just giving this nod, there's a couple of things coming through with that. So, one of them is the third eye, the sixth chakra. This energy center in our energetic anatomy is all about our spiritual gifts and how we see ourselves in this regard, um, in the world that we interact with, and connecting in with our intuition, our psychic abilities, our inner knowings, that kind of thing. So, nodding into that, nodding in, leaning into that, and we can get through any storm that way. So, leaning into that, our spiritual gifts, leaning into our spiritual gifts, that will help illuminate our path ahead of us. All right. Just seeing if there's any other messages that want to come through. Yeah, leaning into the year of the fire horse. Leaning into the year of the fire horse. Freedom is ours. Freedom is ours as we've come out of the year of the snake, shedding the old skin, shedding the old belief systems and narratives, creating our new definitions. And as we continue to work on this deeper shadow work, these deeper triggers and traumas, we will continue to regain even more and more freedom from them. I know that sometimes it is more than a notion to move through that kind of deeper healing. And it's not always easy necessarily, but there is another side of that. There is the moving through it and then being free from it. So, again, I'm reminded of one thing my mom used to say a lot: this too shall pass. Moving through a contrasting experience that is not presenting in a way that feels good, it feels tumultuous, it feels maybe uncertain or confusing or heavy. Um, this too shall pass. There will be a moment where you are no longer um, moving through the healing. You will be beyond the healing. So, all right. Thank you, horse spirit. Thank you so much. All right. So, reflecting on the past week with turtle spirit, and turtle spirit was reminding us that slow and steady wins the race. Turtle brought through a reframe of that for me to share with all of us. Slow and steady is the pace. Slow and steady is the pace. And then during the early middle part of this week, with this past week with Turtle Spirit, Lion Spirit partnered with Turtle for us. And Lion Spirit was reminding us to be generous of spirit, not only in our sharing of our gifts with others, but also being generous of spirit for ourselves. And Turtle Spirit was all about healthy boundaries during vulnerability. And Lion Spirit was reminding us that we need to be generous of spirit for ourselves when we recognize that we need to set those healthy boundaries and not to shortchange ourselves, um, not to cut it short, not to cut corners when it comes to that tender, loving care that we deserve to provide for ourselves. So, my reflections on that. My reflections: slow and steady is the pace, and being generous of spirit. So I have stepped into a more intentional way of sharing my gifts with others. And that is where I do recognize that, being generous in that way, recognizing that the gifts that I'm sharing with others are gifts that I've received myself, and recognizing the significance of those gifts. It feels selfish to not want to share generously with others what I have received. So there's that aspect that Lion Spirit is helping me to reflect on. And with Turtle Spirit, slow and steady is the pace. It really comes down to having patience with myself. I think, you know, um, having patience with myself relative to whatever experience that I might be moving through that might be feeling a little bit heavy or emotional or uncertain. Just having that patience to slow down and find my still point again, reground myself, and look at it from that heart centered perspective and move through it from that heart centered perspective. And this was significant over the past few days for me because um, my brother's birthday was on February 2nd, and my brother passed away in April of last year. So, giving myself permission to slow down and recognize where I needed to just set up those healthy boundaries, slow down, slow and steady is the pace, and allow myself to move through. Nothing came to a complete standstill or anything, but just, recognizing that it's okay to shift and pivot and reassess um, what my needs are on a personal level in any given moment. So thank you, Turtle Spirit, and thank you, Lion Spirit, for those opportunities for reflection and those opportunities to recognize, putting the oxygen mask on myself first, before I can help others. So beautiful reflections. So back to horse spirit. Horse spirit coming through today is Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. Horse spirit reminding us that freedom is yours. This is a beautiful affirmation of moving into the fire horse, the year of the fire horse. Horse spirit reminding us that we've done so much work in the year of the snake, shedding our old selves, what is no longer in alignment, and we're stepping intentionally, fiercely, and strongly into our new, redefined intentions, purposes, missions, visions, and goals for this new year of the fire horse, reminding us to be steadfast, to um, reclaim that power, to keep going. The shadow work's going to surface, and we have the power to look at it from a grounded, still point place of power and wisdom and inner wisdom, and work through the healing on that shadow work and that deeper work, not in an aggressive way or a stern way or a way that creates judgment, but in a way that we can tap into that powerful, gentle healing process and know that these this healing journey is about moving through the healing process. And so this too shall pass is definitely going to be a beautiful mantra for me. Thank you, Mom, for always saying that in such a beautiful, gentle way. So let's see how long Horse Spirit would like to be invited into our lives right now to walk beside us, trot beside us, gallop and run beside us, jumping those obstacles. So it looks like this is going to be a trend. Horse Spirit wants to be invited to spend the next 5 days with us. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then on Friday, Horse Spirit wants me to pull another spirit card, another animal spirit card, to be a companion and partner for the rest of the journey of us inviting Horse Spirit to be with us. So I will do that. Looks like this is going to be a trend. They really want to show us how we can really call upon multiple spirit, multiple energies, multiple people to be on our teams along on these journeys. All right. So thank you so much, everyone. And until next time, we'll see you Friday.